we live? Are we live? Not able to see the chat. Alright, seems like we are live. Very, very nice. Okay. This is a last minute stream, right? Last minute decision to stream. And obviously it's looking very, very different. Right, so let me just get all the settings up and running. Just give me a moment. It's looking very different, I understand. I'll get to all the chats in a bit. I am currently in the middle of nowhere. So just give me a moment. Can you guys hear me though? If you can hear me, please let me know. If you can hear me, please let me know. Right, the sound is not too good. Well, unfortunately, I don't think I can do anything about that one. Let me just change a couple of settings. So this is an impromptu stream, obviously. All right. Okay. So I think majority of the settings are the same as per usual. Right. So let's get on to my wildcard, right? Because okay, unfortunately I can't do anything about the audio. Right, because I've never tried this before. We'll see how it goes, but I'm literally streaming from my phone, right? So we'll see how that one goes. I wanted to stream because we are wildcarding this week. It is a random week to wildcard because it wasn't part of the plan. It wasn't part of the plan at all, but it was a last minute decision to wildcard. So I imagine that a lot of you guys will be wondering. I received so many questions on Instagram, with all the members as well, asking me why I decided to wildcard. So at least I'll talk through my draft currently, right, before I get to the questions. I'll talk through the draft. Let me just get a couple of things right first. Seems like something is still not right. Okay. Alright, so my current draft, I'm gonna have to read it out to you guys because unfortunately this is the state of the affairs, right? But I'm gonna read it out to you guys. So I have Neto in goal, right? Flecken is my substitute keeper as well. In the back line, the defensive five is Zabani, Gabriel, and Alfie Doughty. And then on the bench, it's Udogi and Reguilon, right? And then after that, in midfield, it's Palmer, Bowen, Son, and Saka as my midfield four that's starting. And then the fifth midfielder that's on the bench, it was initially Madison. I've changed it to Elanga now. Right, so I'll touch on that in a bit as to why I've changed it to Elanga. And then up front is the same front three, Watkins, Solanke, and Carlton Morris. Right, captaincy for now is still on Solanke. Based on the comments by Indoni Ariola, I do think that it is still pretty much safe to captain Solanke, but I don't think it's safe to triple captain. I don't think I would go so far as to triple captain Solanke. Right. Okay, so let me get to all the questions first, right, because I'm very, very far behind. But thank you all for coming down, even though this stream looks very, very different from what it usually looks like. Okay, so Nice to see Lewis in the chat, Ashton as well. Alright, I'm referring to my computer. Ashton as well, FPL Cam. Right, so all of you guys are in the chat. Thank you for coming down. Right, so couple of questions, right? So regarding the wildcard, I'll just talk about why I've gone for Ilanga first, right? So Ilanga frees up a lot of funds instead of going for Madison because my future transfer plans involve bringing Darwin Núñez, Salah, as well as Haaland all back in before by game week 31, right? So I'll map out my transfer routes in a bit, right? After I get to a couple of questions that you guys have, okay? So Kaya Means says, hi there, looking forward to hear about your wild card. I'm on a wild card too, right? So the draft, maybe I should pin a chat. Let me pin a comment, right? I've pretty much set the team already. So let me just make sure that Neto, Flecken. Okay, let me just type this out so it's much quicker. I apologize. Thank you for bearing with me. Flecken, Udogi, starting 11. Alright, so Neto, Gabriel, Zabarni, and Doughty. And then in midfield is Palmer, Son, Bowen, and Saka. Up front it's Solanke, captain, Morris, vice captain, and lastly Watkins. And then, alright, so I'm going to pin this comment, right, so that you guys can see. So I pretty much pinned my wildcard draft, right, so you guys can see. But basically, thank you guys for coming down, even though the stream looks, not as per usual. Okay, so I'll talk through my transfer plans in a bit, right? I'll get to some of your questions. Haaland out for Solanke for a -4. I think I would do that. Sound is loud and clear, alright. I initially planned to sell Haaland even without wildcarding. My plan was already to sell Haaland, so I really don't mind selling Haaland because now in game week 28 it's Liverpool away, blank in 29, and then in game week 30 it's Arsenal. Right, so the earliest that I see myself bringing Haaland back in, I'm on a wildcard, the earliest I see myself bringing Haaland back is either game week 31, where he plays Aston Villa, or potentially even later than that in game week 32. Right, so it depends, but definitely Darwin Núñez and Salah will be in my team by game week 31. Alright, sound loud and clear, thank you very much. FPL Cam says, yo bro, Estupinian or Ake to Zabani? I would like to say Ake because I don't think clean sheets are going to be in high supply for City. I don't think they're going to get a lot of clean sheets. But the thing with Estupinian as well is that he's not a super good option. If I have to choose, maybe Ake. Can I activate my triple captain this week? I don't think I would triple captain this week. It's not super safe. There's just enough doubt on Solanke that I would not triple captain him. Louis says, I'm ranked 9th in your mini league. That's incredible. Phil says, Morris or Solanke, I can't get both. Alright, so if you can't get both, who do you choose? I think at this point everyone is definitely going to go for Solanke or already gone for him. I think there is a decision to be made because there is some doubt as to Solanke's minutes, but based off of my interpretation of what Indoni Ariola said, I think I would still bring Solanke in. I don't think the ceiling for Morris is as high. I mean, I'm on a wild card, so I definitely go for Morris, but I don't think the ceiling is as high as the ceiling for Solanke, right? So I would go for Solanke here if I had to choose one. Will Shaw says, any regrets on a wild card? Now your squad is close to set. So I don't think I regret, right? Because the thought process of wildcarding, I went through a couple of iterations of it, as well as planning the future transfer so that I can be sure that I can get to a wildcard 31 team with my current draft. So in terms of future plans, the plan is actually in game week 29 to sell Solanke for Muniz from Fulham, and then I would have 10 blank game week players for game week 29, right? So basically they would have fixtures, 10 players for game week 29, and then in game week 30 the plan is to bring Salah in for Bowen, so that way I would also have Salah in by game week 30. Come game week 31, I can choose to take a hit to bring Haaland and Darwin Núñez in for Morris and Watkins. So basically, by game week 31, I will have all the big hitters. My team would roughly look something like Haaland in the front, followed by Muniz as an option. He actually plays Sheffield in game week 31, so pretty decent fixtures. The only concern with Muniz is whether Jimenez is coming back soon, right? Which I think based off of reports, he could come back by game week 29. That could derail some of my future plans. But I think for now I'm willing to go with the current arrangement that I have, right? So for the time being, the plan is still to go with this wildcard and downgrade Madison to Ilanga. This is pretty much the only change that I have, so that I can afford all these moves in future, because Haaland is going to come in, Salah is going to come in as well, and Darwin Núñez is going to come in. So lots of players that I have to worry about. And then obviously, in terms of future planning for double game week 37, right? Because if I'm wildcarding now, I'm pretty much setting it in stone that I'll bench boost in game week 37 because I don't have enough transfers, or I won't have enough time to get ready for double game week 34. So I pretty much am set on a double game week 34 free hit and a double game week 37 bench boost. So the whole time from game week 31 onwards, leading up to double game week 37, it'll be me getting ready my bench, making some bench changes, because I would assume that by then my whole starting 11 would be ready and set for the rest of the season. So I can just make my bench changes. Obviously, it may not turn out that way, right? FPL is a funny game. We have plans, but it can be derailed. So, but for now, at least my transfers from game week 32 onwards, leading up to game week 37, which is technically 32, 33. I won't have a transfer in 34 because I'll be free hitting. So 32, 33, 35, 36, 37. I have 5 transfers to get my bench ready for the bench boost in double game week 37. Right, so that would be the plan. So I don't think I regret. Just to talk through a bit about the video that I did yesterday at the airport. The main reasons why I felt like I should wildcard early is because I would already be saving 12 points plus any potential points that I'm going to earn from having a more optimal squad now in 28, 29 and 30. And then of course, I felt like I could get to a good enough team in game week 31 that will enable me to just use the chip now and get these early gains. And then potentially if I have to take a hit later on, I don't mind at all. Maybe a hit or two can fix my team for the rest of the season. So I don't think it's that much of a downside. It's quite a deviation from my original plan, but I felt like this was the right move. So I'm gonna play it my way, and hopefully it's definitely not what a lot of other content creators are doing, but hopefully this one works out and we can shoot up the rankings, at least for the next few game weeks at least. Question, start Saka or Gordon and why? If it's between Saka and Gordon, I think it has to be Saka for me, right? the form that he's in, I think Brentford are just conceding goals for fun at the moment. I mean, they definitely don't look very, very solid at the back, and their whole back four, or their whole first choice back four, are currently out. So I think I will start Saka. Yeah, I think it could be a landslide for Arsenal again. Glenn Openshaw says, I can't decide which defender to buy between Doughty and Zabani. I'm free hitting in game week 29. Then I think it has to be Zabani. Right? If it's between Doughty and Zabani and you're free hitting in 29, you don't have to worry about having a fixture in 29. So I just go for Zabani. I definitely think that clean sheets for Luton in game week 28 would not be easy by any means. Crystal Palace away, Bournemouth away, I actually don't think they keep a clean sheet in both of those games. Right, so he will be relying on attacking returns, it's possible, but I just go for Zabani and the clean sheet potential there. Keymaker says, I have 0 doubles and was planning to free hit in 29 as I only have 4 or 5 players. Do you think a wild card would be a good idea? So I don't want to push the wild card agenda. I don't want to convince everyone to do what I'm doing, but I think in general what I would say is just take a look at your future plans, compare it to a situation where you would wildcard now in 28, see your team, how it's going to look, whether you would be able to get to a team that you would have on a wildcard if you saved it for later on. If it's possible, then maybe you can consider a wildcard now in 28. I mean, it's definitely not something that a lot of people are considering, but I think there is just enough upside for me to want to do it based off of my future plans. Right, but for your situation, you say you only have 4 or 5 players for game week 29, and you have 0 doubles now. Right, so no Luton players, no Luton players, no Bournemouth players. I think it could be a bit of a red flag because, to be fair, my own team as well, before making any transfers or even hitting the wild card, I had 0 doublers as well, pretty much in a similar position. The only difference was that I would have at least 7 players for game week 29, so that's pretty much the difference. And I had a lot of fringe players like maybe Pascal Gross, Ezri Konza, who's having tough fixtures now, even though they will have a fixture in 29, right? But he's having tough fixtures. He won't be an optimal player to own at this point. I had Pascal Gross as well, and I would be fielding Charlie Taylor in game week 29 if I save the free hit. So yeah, I mean, I wouldn't push the agenda, but I think if it works for your team, then I would be open to it. Right? Start Foden or Palmer. So both of them have difficult fixtures. But I think I would just lean towards the penalty taker, right, which is Palmer. It could be crazy that you're gonna bench Phil Foden, but Liverpool away is not an easy game. Like if we take into isolation game by game, like I think it's not out of the possibilities that if you told me Foden was going to score 2 against Manchester United, that was what happened. But if you told me before the game that Man City were going to win 3-1, I would believe you. And if you told me that Foden would score 2 of those goals, I think I could take that as well. But right now, what do you think the score for Liverpool and Man City tomorrow would be? I don't think it's going to be as much of a landslide as we imagine. It's going to be tight. I don't think there's going to be high scoring. So benching Foden for for Cole Palmer, I don't think that's too bad of a decision. I'll probably go for the penalty taker. Jack says, hi, hope you're doing well. Hope you are doing well too, Jack. Would you do Tony to Solanke this week, then sell Solanke back for Tony again next week and bring Son for -4 and field 9 players in 29 times? I wouldn't do a hokey cokey. Like pretty much if you bring Solanke in now, I don't think I would just remove him next week for Tony and then bring him back again the week after. Like I don't think I would do that. So for my own plans as well, I actually am in a situation where I am potentially going to do without Solanke after this week. Right, I'm going to sell Solanke for Muniz, and then I'm going to do without Solanke nor Tony for gameweek 29, and then just roll with that all the way. Right, so we'll see how that goes. But I think that's just too much of a waste of transfers, Jack. Lewis says, on a wild card, I'll drop Watkins for Tony. You drop Watkins for Tony. I mean, that is an interesting proposition. That is an interesting proposition. I mean, based off of my... Let me just take a look. Based off of my team, if I do drop Watkins for Tony, he plays Arsenal away. I don't think I will start Tony. I will bench Tony, and then I will have to start Ilanga, which is not the best. So I think I will still take my chances, right? Watkins against Tottenham and Watkins against next week he has West Ham. I will still take my chances there. All right. Keymaker said, "Oh, would you take a -4 to get an extra double player?" It depends. If it's a, it depends on your strategy, right? If you are saving the free hit for game week 29, so you're not going to use the free hit then, and you're taking a hit for let's say a Luton player this week, it works because pretty much on appearance points alone, you get extra 2 points for the extra fixture in double game week 28 now, and you get an extra fixture in 29. So just appearance points alone, that's 4 points made up already. So I would. Right, Katie says, why not Barkley or Bailey or Douglas Luiz? I'm assuming you're referring to the 5th spot, why I've gone for Elanga as opposed to, let's say, Bailey, Douglas Luiz, or even Barkley. I just think, yes, Barkley has a double game week fixture, but I don't think he's the kind of player that is going to firstly hurt my rank, and secondly, I don't think he's a player that's going to pop off and get that much returns. He's going to prove me wrong after I say this, but I think I just don't see a lot for Ross Barkley this week. And then Bailey and Douglas Luiz, the thing with both of them is that yes, they're good options, but Aston Villa are still very involved in Europe, right? They have quite a tough opponent, and then of course their fixtures aren't as good as Nottingham Forest fixtures after game week 29, because after game week 29 the Forest fixtures are actually pretty good, in which case I don't mind actually having to start Ilanga week in week out. Right, but if it's someone like Douglas Luiz or Leon Bailey and I have to start them week in week out against, let me just take a look at Aston Villa's fixtures, because that was what put me off going for Leon Bailey or Douglas Luiz, right? So after game week 30, they have Man City in 31, they have Arsenal in 33, right? So not easy fixtures at all. 35, there's Chelsea at home. It's tough fixtures for Aston Villa, right? So I think I don't mind going without. I don't mind going without the Aston Villa players, right? So I'm quite far behind on the chat, but I just want to take some. There's 91 of you guys here. I just want to take some time to thank everyone for coming down and watching me chat FPL, and hear my wildcard story out. Even though the setup is like that. I'm basically on a holiday right now, but I wanted to put a stream out because I'm wildcarding this week. So anyone who was wildcarding this week, I hope this stream is helpful for you guys, because I'm coming from the perspective of someone who is wildcarding this week. Right, so it could be slightly different from what other managers are thinking at the moment. Right, so Sarah says, if I take a hit this game week and use one free transfer next week, you can get a 7 players for 29. Is this enough? We'll have Son, Kudus, Bowen, Watkins, Tony, Regular, Doughty, and a keeper. So my thoughts on... Oh, I'm a little quiet. Not sure how I can... Alright. Maybe I'll come closer to the mic. I'm not sure if this helps. Let me just see if I can adjust some settings. Is this better? Let me know if you guys can hear me a little bit better. I have to apologize for for these settings, but I'm gonna do my best to get to all of your questions. So my thoughts on how many players is essential for game week 29. Basically, I feel like you need to cover the main players. That is the most important thing. Like how many players you have does not really matter. The quality of players is what matters. So players like Tony, players like Watkins, players like Bowen, you need to have enough players to cover what a free hit 2019 would look like. Alright, so I would generally go for that kind of approach. I wouldn't try to max out and go for 11 players, etc. Right? If you're not using the free hit, will you swap out Haaland? If you're not using the free hit, will you swap out Haaland for Morris? Yes, I would. Right. So the Morris move is something that quite a number of people are thinking about because, firstly, you're not going to use the free hit. Morris earns you one extra fixture in 29, and of course he has one more fixture than Haaland in 28 as well. Right. So I would make that move. I think it is worth it. Right. I took out Walker and Neto for Kluivert and Zabani. Yeah, I think that works. Obviously, strategy dependent. Would you bring in Bowen for Foden this week for a -4 or leave it for now? I would not sell Foden for a -4 this week. Richarlison to Chong for a -4. I'll lean towards yes. Right, I'm going to speed through some of the questions because I can't get to every single one of them, but I'll speed through some of the questions. Best captain other than a double game week player. If you're going to captain a single game week player this week, I think that player is Saka. Will a -8 hit in 29 be worth it, knowing that I'm into Wildcard 28? If you're on a Wildcard in game week 28, I don't think I would take a -8 in 29. Like maximum -4. How many players will you have in game week 29? I will have 10 players after one free transfer. After using my one free transfer. Start Foden or Haaland. If it's between Foden and Haaland, then I will start Haaland because of penalties. I would be selling Tony. And bring Tony for. I've got to this question already. Hi bro, I have a low value squad, no route to Salah, free hitting in 29, but would have to rip apart a bit for Salah. What should I do? Free hitting in 29, but you can't get to Salah. I mean, something has to give. I would say that Salah is a priority though. So I think it depends if you're able to save the free hit. Then maybe wildcard in 30 or 31 would help you to get Salah back in. Will Shaw says, I have Tony, Watkins, Son, Bowen, Madison, Doughty, Porro, Moreno, Areola for 29. Am I missing any must-haves? Well, you've got the Spurs players covered. You have Watkins, you have Tony, Doughty as well. I think you're pretty much set. These players look alright for 29. You definitely can save it. FPL Don says on a wildcard, I want Palmer but would only have 10 players next week. Is having Madison or Barkley or Chong worth the -4? So I have to take... Yeah, exactly. Right, having Madison now, that's the reason why I've gone without Madison, because I think going for Elanga now just saves me a transfer move later on, and I'm willing to take the chance that Elanga is going to be a decent differential in the next few game weeks. Marcus says, is Virgil to Udogi worth -4 this week? We'll probably bring Udogi next week for a hit anyways if I don't do it this week. I think not this week. Right, he has Aston Villa this week. I don't think it's necessary to bring him in for a -4. Haaland to Morris. Then thoughts on Walker to Zabani or Udogi to Reguilon for a -4. I like Haaland to Morris is a move I would make this week. If you are saving the free hit for game week 29. Then thoughts on Walker to Zabani or Udogi to Reguilon for a -4 or play Walker / Taylor instead. I'll do Walker to Zabani. The Daily Melange says, I hope I got it right, says, I've done Ake to Doughty. Is it worth taking a -8 to do Foden to Bowen and Haaland to Morris, not on a free hit 29? -8 for that. I would say yes. Because fixtures wise you already make up those points. I would say yes, but -8 is a max I would take this week, I think. Or maybe -12 for some teams. Like I've seen some teams, -12 could work. But that's pretty much the max that I would do, I think. You think Everton can keep a clean sheet against United? Tricky. I would say no. Would you sell Watkins for Morris for a -4? I'm using free hit in 29. No, I wouldn't do that. Xander says, hey man, have you changed anything about your wildcard team you put out yesterday? Yes, only one change. The only change that I made to my wildcard team was to sell Madison and for Elanga because it works better for my future transfers. That's the only change that I've made. Wildcard 30 stupid if I'm free hit in 29. Have a great team for 28, so don't want a wildcard now and you just need Salah. So I have seen this strategy discussed a bit on Twitter. Not a lot, like not everyone has mentioned this strategy, but the reason why I think some people are considering it is precisely because you can't afford Salah. Personally, I think it could be a bit of a waste of chips using it so close by. Like my thoughts is generally that using a chip means that I can, unless it's wild carding into a bench boost week, but aside from that, using your chips so close to each other, I'm not a fan of that because I think that just does not optimize it as much, right? Optimize your team as much, right? So, but I wouldn't put you off it, right? I would just say that I think there's a better alternative to that strategy. Haaland to Morris, Foden to Bowen / Barkley for a -4, or only Haaland to Morris if no free hit in 29. I think I would just about do Foden to Bowen for a -4. I would just about do that. Should I triple captain Solanke or use it on game week 34? I wouldn't triple captain Solanke this week. Did De Bruyne to Son, Walker to Kirkes, free hit 29, wildcard 31, bench boost 37. That is actually an interesting strategy. De Bruyne to Son, Walker to Kirkes, and you're free hitting in 29, wildcarding in 31, and bench boost. Then how are you going to deal with 34? Because 34 is going to be tricky. Right? You have to work out a route to deal with double game week 34. Should I triple captain Solanke or use it? Answered this question already. Trips to Zabani or Walker to Zabani, and why? I think I just go with the player that isn't injured. Like I would sell Trippier to Zabani. Right, Walker is just someone you can have maybe on your bench. Right, but Trippier is gonna be out for a while. I think game week 30 is what we're hearing. Game week 30. Solanke or Morris not free hitting in 29. If you're not free hitting in 29, then I think Morris. What do you suggest? Who should I play, Gordon or Foden? If it's between Gordon and Foden, I would go for Foden. Should I triple captain Solanke or use it on game week 34? Yeah, I got to this question already. Use it in some other game week. I think Palmer in maybe game week 35 or 36 is a decent option because there's a chance that Palmer could double then as well. Barkley or Bowen in this week. Need whoever I bring in till game week 31 wildcard. Bowen then. Bowen. Start Garnacho or Palmer. I will start Palmer. Why do we really need a lot of Manchester United, Newcastle, Palace, and Sheffield for game week 34? I mean, we say this now, but I think come the time game week 34 comes around, and if Manchester United or Newcastle's double game week is really good, I don't think we can resist it. Like even now, we are in game week, I would say game week 30, we're in game week 28, and let's say Luton doesn't even have, it's not the best double game week. Like Crystal Palace away and Bournemouth away, it's not the best double game week for them. But you're seeing people take hits left, right, and centre for Nottingham Forest players. It could be due to different reasons. Like you gain an extra fixture in 29, fair enough. But come the time when a double game week comes, I don't think we can resist having extra double game week players. I think it just adds to your ceiling. 50-50 on taking a -4 hit to Dubravka to Neto. I have Areola for game week 29. Any thoughts? 50-50 on taking a -4 hit Dubravka to Neto. If you have a Bournemouth defender already, I think you can skip this move. I think you can skip the move. Who are your set and forget players for the rest of the season regardless of chip strategy? Set and forget players would be Palmer. I think Son is also a set and forget player. I'll try my best as possible to keep him in the team. Let me just pull my team up, because I think there will be a time when Watkins will be sold by quite a number of people. Right, Saka, Gabriel, also set and forget players. Solanke potentially, right? Potentially Solanke as well. And that's pretty much it. I think those are the set and forget players. Watkins, if you don't sell him around the period where people sell him like 31, 32, then maybe Watkins. Right, we're gonna end the stream in a bit. Unfortunately, can't stream for too long. But thank you for putting up with the poor quality of stream and the sound quality as well. We will be back to normal next week, I promise. Okay. Start Porro as Stupinian. I would start Porro. Start Pascal Gross or Gordon. Probably Gordon there. Probably Gordon. Who is your captain? Solanke is my captain. Alright, so I think we're gonna leave it here. Right, my team is as in the pin chat. I'll also put a comment on the bottom of this stream. I'll put a pinned comment on my finalized team as well as the future planned transfers, so you guys can see the thought process behind the wildcard for those of you who are wildcarding. But if not, I think I'll leave it as this. Thoughts on Son when Richarlison is fit? I don't mind still keeping on to Son. Like even if Richarlison comes back, I will still want Son in my team. Like for me, he's one of the season keepers. I try my best as possible to keep him from now all the way till the end of the season. Yep. Alright, so that's it. Thank you guys for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this stream as much as it was quite the quality is just not as good. I understand that, but thank you for bearing with me, and I hope I managed to answer some of you guys' questions with regards to wildcarding in 28 and other questions that you had in Game Week 28 as well. But if not, I'm sure all the other YouTubers are streaming as well, so go on ahead and check out all their streams. But if not, I will see you guys in Game Week 28 content. So I will be recording a free hit Game Week 29 video very soon. Like literally after this deadline, I will set up the equipment and I will record a free hit 29 team, and I'll have the video out by the end of today before the latest. At the end of the last game, I think it's Brentford and Arsenal. That'll be the last game for today, Saturday. So I will release the free hit 29 team then, and you guys can have a look. But if not, that's it. Thank you very much for tuning in. Yes, thank you. Happy holidays, etc. So I'm currently somewhere in Europe right now, and basically just streaming from a random Airbnb. But thank you guys for tuning in, and I will catch you guys next week where content will be back to normal. Right? If not, all the best and green arrows for everyone. Bye bye.